with the natural world. This perspective can foster a sense of unity and oneness, which is often lacking in modern, disconnected lifestyles. Furthermore, the practice of white magic can promote emotional well-being. Rituals and spells often involve elements of meditation, introspection, and the release of negative emotions. This can be therapeutic, offering a structured way for individuals to process and cope with emotional issues. The community aspect of many white magic practices also provides social support, which is crucial for mental health. Negative psychological states induced by black magic. Conversely, the practice of black magic can induce negative psychological states. One of the most common is paranoia. Since black magic often involves manipulating or harming others, practitioners may become increasingly paranoid, fearing retribution or the consequences of their actions. This paranoia can be exacerbated by the secretive and often solitary nature of black magic practices. Obsession is another significant risk associated with black magic. The pursuit of power, control, or revenge can become all-consuming, leading practitioners down a path of obsession. This can manifest in constantly thinking about and engaging in magical practices to the detriment of other aspects of life, such as personal relationships, work, and health. A distorted sense of power and control is also a common psychological impact of practicing black magic. The belief in one's ability to exert influence or control over others through supernatural means can lead to a distorted sense of self and an inflated ego. This can result in a lack of empathy and disregard for the well-being of others, as well as a disconnect from the reality of one's limitations and the consequences of one's actions. The psychological dynamics of magical practices. The psychological impact of magical practices, whether white or black, is not just a result of the practices themselves, but also of the beliefs and intentions that underlie them. In white magic, the focus on healing and positive intentions aligns with psychological principles that promote well-being, such as positivity, altruism, and connectedness. In contrast, black magic's alignment with manipulation and harm can exacerbate negative psychological traits like selfishness, aggression, and a lack of empathy. It is also important to note that the psychological impact of these practices can be influenced by the individual's pre-existing psychological state. Those who are drawn to black magic may already have certain psychological predispositions, such as a tendency towards manipulative behavior or a fascination with power. Similarly, those drawn to white magic may be more inclined towards empathy, nurturing, and a desire for harmony. In summary, the psychological impact of engaging in white and black magic is significant and varied. While white magic can lead to positive outcomes such as a sense of empowerment, connection to nature, and emotional well-being, black magic can induce negative states like paranoia, obsession, and a distorted sense of power. These effects are deeply intertwined with the underlying intentions and beliefs of the practitioners, reflecting the complex interplay between psychological states and magical practices. Understanding these impacts is crucial for anyone involved in or affected by these practices, as it highlights the profound influence that such engagements can have on the human psyche. Social acceptance of white magic. White magic, with its emphasis on healing, protection, and positive outcomes, generally enjoys a more favorable social perception. It is often viewed as benign or even beneficial, aligning with many societal values such as helping others, fostering well-being, and living in harmony with nature. This positive view can be attributed to the ethical approach of white magic, which adheres to the principle of do no harm and often aims to benefit not just the individual practitioner, but the community as a whole. In many contemporary societies, particularly those influenced by New Age and holistic health movements, white magic is sometimes practiced openly. It is not uncommon to find elements of white magic, such as herbalism, crystal healing, and energy work, integrated into broader spiritual practices. These elements are often embraced for their perceived natural and holistic benefits, and their association with ancient wisdom and traditions. White magic practices also align with the growing interest in spirituality that transcends traditional religious boundaries. In various spiritual and New Age communities, there is an openness to exploring different forms of spirituality and healing, which has contributed to a more accepting view of white magic. It's often seen as part of a larger tapestry of spiritual practices that seek to enhance personal and collective well-being. Negative perception of black magic. In contrast, black magic is typically viewed negatively in many societies. It is often associated with taboo, fear, and condemnation, a perception that has been shaped by historical events, religious teachings, and cultural narratives. Black magic practices, with their focus on manipulation, harm, or personal gain at the expense of others, conflict with widely held ethical and moral values. This negative perception is reinforced by the portrayal of black magic in media, literature, and folklore, where it is often depicted as a dark and dangerous force. Stories of curses, hexes, and dealings with malevolent spirits have cemented the image of black magic as something to be feared and avoided. In some cultures, the fear of black magic is so ingrained that it can lead to stigmatization, discrimination, or even violence against those suspected of practicing it. The historical context also plays a significant role in the negative perception of black magic. In many parts of the world, especially during the medieval and early modern periods, there was widespread fear of witchcraft and sorcery, which were often equated with black magic. These fears led to witch hunts and trials, where individuals accused of practicing black magic were persecuted. These historical events have left a lasting impact on how black magic is viewed in contemporary society. Impact of social perception on practitioners. The social perception of white and black magic significantly impacts practitioners. Those who engage in white magic may find a more accepting community, especially in spaces that value spiritual and holistic practices. However, they may still face skepticism or misunderstanding from those who view such practices as unscientific or superstitious. For practitioners of black magic, the negative social perception can lead to secrecy and isolation. Due to the fear and stigma associated with black magic, practitioners may choose to hide their practices or only share them within closed, like-minded communities. This secrecy can exacerbate the sense of mystery and fear surrounding black magic, further entrenching its negative image in the broader society. In summary, white magic is often more socially accepted and viewed as benign or beneficial, particularly in spiritual and New Age communities. In contrast, black magic is typically perceived negatively, associated with taboo, fear, and condemnation. These social perceptions are deeply rooted in historical, cultural, and religious contexts and significantly influence how these practices are viewed and experienced within different societies. Understanding these perceptions is crucial in appreciating the complex ways in which magical practices are integrated into or excluded from social and cultural narratives. Understanding intentions and responsibilities. The core of responsible magical practice lies in a deep understanding and conscious acknowledgement of one's intentions. Practitioners of white magic typically engage in rituals and spells with intentions of healing, protection, or bringing about positive change. Their responsibility is to ensure that these actions do not inadvertently cause harm or interfere with the natural course of events in a detrimental way. This requires a careful consideration of the potential ripple effects of their magical work, as even the most benevolent intentions can have unforeseen consequences. For practitioners of black magic, the ethical considerations are often more complex, given that black magic frequently involves manipulating energies or forces for personal gain or to the detriment of others. Practitioners must confront the moral implications of their actions. They must consider the potential harm they could cause not just to their targets but also to themselves, both in terms of immediate effects and longer-term karmic repercussions. In both cases, practitioners need to be acutely aware of the power they are wielding. They must recognize that engaging in magical practices is not a trivial matter but a profound exercise of influence over the energies and forces of the universe. This power comes with the responsibility to use it wisely and ethically. Cultural and personal implications. Magic does not exist in a vacuum. It is deeply intertwined with cultural and personal belief systems. Practitioners must be cognizant of the cultural context in which they operate, respecting the traditions and norms that shape the understanding and practice of magic in their society. This is particularly important when borrowing or adapting practices from cultures other than one's own, as it requires sensitivity to issues of cultural appropriation and respect for the sacred traditions of others. On a personal level, engaging in magical practices can have profound implications for one's worldview and ethical framework. Practitioners often find that their journey into magic leads to a reevaluation of their values and beliefs. This introspective process is crucial, as it helps ensure that their practices are aligned with their personal ethics and moral compass. The role of self-awareness and education. Self-awareness is a key component of responsible magical practice. Practitioners must continuously reflect on their motives, the potential impacts of their actions, and their own psychological and spiritual well-being. Regular self-assessment helps in maintaining an ethical approach to magic and in recognizing when one's practices may be veering into ethically questionable territory. Education and continuous learning are also vital. Understanding the historical, cultural, and theoretical aspects of magical practices enriches the practitioner's perspective and ensures a more informed and responsible approach. Engaging with the broader community of practitioners can provide valuable insights and guidance, helping to navigate the ethical complexities of magical practices. In conclusion, personal responsibility and awareness are foundational to the ethical practice of magic, regardless of its form. Practitioners must be mindful of their intentions, the potential consequences of their actions, traditions, and the cultural and personal contexts in which they operate. This responsibility extends to a continuous process of self-reflection, learning, and adherence to an ethical framework that respects both the power of magic and the interconnectedness of all things. By embracing these responsibilities, practitioners can ensure that their engagement with the magical realm is not only personally fulfilling but also ethically sound and respectful of the broader tapestry of beliefs and practices in which they are participating. Hope that you liked this episode. We would like to hear your comments on this topic and hope to see you on the next episode. This is Aleph from the Dark Arts Diaries signing off. Adios.